Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first online curriculum session. This week, our theme is STEM in Space. If you haven't checked out our introductory videos, we recommend going back and watching those now. These videos will walk you through how to use the design program used in this session and introduce you to MakerGirl and 3D printing. Have you learned about space in school? Take a minute to try and name all of the planets. There are 8 different planets and one dwarf planet that orbit around the Sun. These planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Do you know which one is the dwarf planet? It's Pluto. Pluto is so small that it was demoted to a dwarf planet. It is even smaller than Earth's moon. Today, we are going to learn about how 3D printing is used in space. We will first brainstorm space-related design ideas on paper. Then, we will create these designs on Tinkercad, the free online platform for 3D printing design. Everyone will share their design with their family. We have also provided supplemental space-related activities to work on at home. Do you know what STEM stands for? Take a minute and come up with an answer. Hint: you learn about these subjects in school. S stands for science. T stands for technology. E stands for engineering. And M stands for math. So what is 3D printing? Is a 3D printer the same as the printers we use to print papers and documents? Take a minute to think of an answer. We will now watch this video to better understand 3D printing.
So 3D printing is taking over the world, but how does it actually work? Well, it's quite similar to a normal printer, but then a little different. First, you don't put in an ink cartridge, but instead connect a spool of special printing material like plastic, rubber, or even metal. And you don't print boring text documents, but real-life models of what you've just made on your computer screen. Simply awesome. Right now, you can buy a 3D printer yourself and make complex 3D models with modeling software. But if you're not really a wizard with all that technical stuff, you can buy personalized 3D models online, like fancy toys, bracelets, or phone cases. Then send it to a 3D print shop nearby, choose a material, and pick up your own unique item. Sweet. In the medical world, they're developing 3D printers with special biological material. They're working on printing heart valves, ears, bones, skin, and even printed a small human kidney that can live for 3 months. It's just amazing. And hold on to your seats. They're developing a 3D printer that can print in space and are planning to print a moon base. A moon base! But, still, the coolest thing you can print with a 3D printer is another 3D printer. Booyah!
Now that you understand what 3D printing is, how can they use this printer in space? Take a minute to brainstorm some ideas. These pictures show astronauts holding different parts that they have printed with the 3D printer. 3D printers are especially helpful for this because they can instantly create different parts for projects on demand, instead of waiting for supplies from Earth or not having it until they land on Earth again. Astronauts need to think carefully about what type of food they are preparing to bring on their spaceship. They can't bring items that will spoil quickly. Many times, they bring along freeze-dried food. This is food that has all of the water sucked out of it so that it keeps from rotting. Astronauts have found a useful way to use 3D printers to help them with their food supply. Let's watch this video to find out more.
Sure, this is a NASA-funded project and our company Systems and Materials Research Corporation. NASA recently started their programs on sending astronauts to Mars, and this is part of that. They want to do some risk assessment of what astronauts will eat when they go to Mars, which takes about 5+ years. And one method is convert everything into powder form, and the state where the powders can long very last. And we use those powders to make viscous slurries of food, which you can see in these cartridges. And then we design our code, we design the recipes, and according to that, it prints actual food. So here, today we are printing pizza. It's just one example, but we can print so many different things. We have by far printed icing, chocolate, different shapes. You can see some of them over there. There's a wheel, the ship wheel that we have printed. We have printed South by Southwest logo. We have printed NASA logo. This project has been out there just for about 5 months. We call this our beta prototype, and we are looking for a higher level funding to expand this project into a more commercial and usable product. We'll be seeking phase 2 funding. We will have a much bigger system. Instead of right now, it has potential to print 3 different ingredients. It will have probably 8 to 10 different ingredients, which accounts for about almost everything that we eat. We will be adding some micronutrients or vitamins capacity to be printed. So the idea is that astronauts don't need to take any vitamins pills or anything, but it just comes with the food. What is unique about this is it's using open source platform. We have used the hardware for the RapRep project, and this is a Prusa Mendel, which anybody can build from information available on Wikipedia. We have taken the code and modified it to print food. A couple of other research labs and places they print food. One of the most prominent one is TNO Research from Netherlands. The other one is Cornell Creative Machines Lab. So I would say we are one of the pioneers to build 3D food printer. Oh yeah.
Now we are going to start brainstorming our design ideas. Take some time to think about what you would like to design. Try to think of something that is related to space. Think about all the different shapes you can use. Pause this video. When you are ready for the next step, press play. I am sure you have created an awesome design. We will now bring it to life using Tinkercad. If you are unfamiliar with Tinkercad, watch our introductory video about how to get started. A few reminders. Keep everything on the blue work plane. Avoid having floating objects or objects that are below the plane. The 3 shapes on the screen are shapes that are difficult to print in the printer. It is best to avoid these shapes if you plan on printing in a 3D printer. Have fun and be creative. It takes practice, so keep working hard. Pause this video. When you are ready for the next step, press play. In a typical session, the next step is to print your design on the 3D printers. Look out for more information on how to be one of 3 lucky participants to get your print printed and sent to your house. Typically, we will save your design on your computer and drag it onto this little SD card. The card is then plugged into the 3D printer. When the printer begins to print, the plastic material reaches a very high temperature so that it all melts. The melted material comes through the nozzle and begins to mold into your own unique design. Now, we will learn a little bit more information about STEM in space. To get started, try to answer these first 3 questions. What Apollo mission landed the first man on the moon? The answer is Apollo 11. How many years has it been since? It has been just over 50 years. Apollo 11 landed on July 20th, 1969. Who was the first person to walk on the moon? Neil Armstrong. Now, you may be wondering, what did NASA do to prepare for this historical landing on the moon? The answer is that it took a lot of math, science, and design in order to be successful. All of these things are a part of STEM. There are 3 women in particular that really helped the Apollo 11 mission. There is a movie made after them called Hidden Figures. It talks about everything they overcame and how hard they worked to achieve their success. The first woman is Katherine Johnson. She was a mathematician who calculated the orbital mechanics for the mission. Do you know what an orbit is? An orbit is the circular path a planet makes around the sun. In order to get the spaceship to the moon, she needed to understand all the different orbits and how they worked. The second woman is Mary Jackson. She was an American mathematician and human computer. She used a lot of numbers and calculations in order to understand the path of the spaceship. The third woman is Dorothy Vaughan. She was also a mathematician, but she was an aerospace engineer too. Do you know what an engineer is? An engineer is someone who designs and builds complex systems. They often ask how and why things work in order to make something better. Now, share your Tinkercad design with your family. Tell them what shapes you used, how you came up with your idea, and what you learned about STEM in space. Some questions to think about are, what was the hardest part of designing? What was your favorite thing you learned about 3D printing? We have also provided 2 supplemental activities to continue STEM education at home. Look in our newsletter and online for these fun activities. Thank you so much for being a part of our online curriculum. We will see you again next week. Have fun and stay safe.